A lot of times recently, when I'm doing a pretty basic build, I don't end up doing a separate build video because it's not like anything kind of crazy or unique going on that I haven't shown you before. But in this case here, we've got the SIJUN MPX from M416jellblaster.com. If you watched the video, I showed you a video about how to kind of take it apart, what's going on with it, and I wanted to try some new different things with it. Of course, when that happens, typically I run into some hiccups and it ends up taking me a lot longer than I planned, but hey, that's okay. It was something different, something new. So this had, the Picatinny rail back here that actually had a screw hole through it that screws in through the lower and actually into the gearbox. So that's really nice for anchoring a buffer tube. But of course, I wanted to have a piece that could anchor that buffer tube, or that the buffer tube could connect to, and then it's going to anchor through this into here. So it should be really solid, right? So that's the plan. And you'll see, I even really built this out so it's extra strong, it has this extra frame. Probably not necessary, but I thought I would do that. And the goal of doing that, of course, is to be able to get the battery back in the buffer tube so you can go to a little bigger battery, a little easier to change. Well, there's plenty of room actually up above, kind of on the side, for the wires to get back there, but then to be able to have them so that they're not just hanging out in case you want to go ahead and put the regular factory stock back on, that ran into some issues. So it's not super pretty, but it is covered, right? So it's always going to be covered either by the buffer tube or by the factory one. But you can see here, I've got a little plug here for positive, a plug here for negative. So what that allows me to do then is to use like this jumper here. This would plug in, and then this would be down in the buffer tube, and that's what your battery would connect to. So then if you don't want to use it, you just unplug it, and then you can put this back on. That's covered up. You don't even see that spot. And how it works up here is, this is the factory plug. So now I changed it to a JST2. Reason for that is just because I wanted some plugs to interchange. I had a bunch of those. So this is actually the plug from the tail. So this would just plug in right here, and then that would go ahead and I'd add that in the buffer tube, okay? Of course, you could just plug a JST2 battery right here and kind of use the factory spot, or there's another jumper here, we can plug in this, and then this would actually allow you to go ahead and put a battery into this little grip that I've customized. It's not quite done, but this little grip right here, the battery would go ahead and go down in there, okay, through there. And again, this JST2 connection will just connect to this right here, okay? So that gives you a couple options. So you can go ahead and do a battery in here. You could go ahead and do a battery in the buffer tube, or you could do a battery in the factory spot. Now, like I said, unfortunately, that's not as perfectly clean as I thought I wanted it to be, but I couldn't get it to work where there was enough room to recess it in otherwise, and it couldn't stick out if we wanted to be able to do other things there. Over on this side, I just continued to run into issues with the blowback not working. So finally, after lots of sanding on the inside and even sanding that little plate, I finally was able to get it to work. So I'm not sure if something just bent, but everything seemed to be lined up fine. So I have no idea why that caused such a problem. But because of that, I went ahead and printed out this little frame that connects still here, and then is actually, basically permanent right there. So sometimes things just don't work out exactly as planned, but I still think it's going to look really cool once it's done and put together. I just wanted to go ahead and show you everything. Also got a little mag well, right, that's going to go ahead on there. A different grip. So if you're using the buffer tube, you can just use this grip because the battery won't stay in there, obviously. This is kind of a recessed fake suppressor. I do need to hit it with another coat of paint. And then, of course, this will get painted out black as well. And this just has the battery can just go right in here, right? So those are going to be your options for that. Otherwise, just a little mag plate extension there. So that's a quick rundown of all kind of the unique things going on with this custom SIJUN MPX. And again, it's from M416jellblaster.com. splatrball.com. Check them out. Great site. Just remember, be patient. Things ship from China. I also did put an M95 spring in here, so it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. Comments, questions, post them below. Like, subscribe, share my channel with your friends, participate in those YouTube contests when they're live. Thanks.